Caitlin Clark just got something from one of the best soccer players in the world. So we have Alexia Putellas, who is obviously a player for the Spain national team. Who did they won the last World Cup, didn't they? I think they did. But like, she is, again, she's seen seen by a lot of people as the best.
Caitlin Clark just received a gift that has the entire sports world spinning. And before you think this is just another feel-good celebrity moment, let me tell you what's really happening here. One of the greatest soccer players on the planet, Alexia Putellas, World Cup champion and multiple Ballon d'Or winner, just sent Caitlin a handwritten note and a pair of custom soccer boots. But this isn't about friendship. This isn't about...
Not only that, her notoriety, because unlike 2K, where you know, the WNBA players are absolutely horrendous.
Inspiration. This is Nike making a chess move while their biggest investment sits on the sidelines with nowhere to play. And the timing? It's almost too perfect to be accidental. So here's the setup. Alexia Putellas isn't just some soccer player. She's the face of women's football. She plays for FC Barcelona, the biggest club in the sport. She's won the Ballon d'Or multiple times.
In FIFA, she's a demon. She's an absolute demon. And at the end of the day, it is a pretty big...
best female player in the world. And if you've ever played FIFA, you know exactly who she is because her card is legitimately overpowered. She's rated higher than most male players people actually recognize. Now, compare that to the WNBA players in NBA 2K. They're borderline unusable. That alone tells you everything about how these two leagues...
A pair of football boots. Caitlin Clark, I'm coming out of retirement. Who knows? People are like, oh, Caitlin Clark is going to play in the NWSL if there's no WNBA season. No, she won't. No, she won't. Caitlin Clark is not good enough to play professional soccer. At least right now.
Are marketed on a global scale. Women's soccer has reach. It has infrastructure. It has international recognition that women's basketball is still fighting to build. And Nike knows that. Now, the message Alexia sent wasn't some generic celebrity shout-out. This was a handwritten note. Not typed. Not sent through an assistant. Handwritten. She talked about Caitlin...
right now. Could she have been a professional soccer player? Maybe. Like, even her high school coach was like, oh yeah, she would have been a D1 level soccer player. There's a big difference between that and going pro. But your talent and dedication...
resilience. Her leadership. Her courage. She called her talent and dedication inspiring. That's specific praise from someone who doesn't need clout, doesn't need attention, and sure as hell doesn't need to gas up an athlete from a completely different sport. But she did it anyway, and she sent custom football boots along with it, complete with a joke about Caitlin coming out of retirement. And that's when the internet lost its mind.
That is absolutely a step too far. It is very difficult. You cannot transition from one... You could realistically cannot transition from one pro sport to another pro sport. That is it is what it is with that. Get her to the Camp Nou. Yeah, like I think they should try to get her to Barcelona. That would be a good place. Nike, I'm pretty sure Barcelona are Nike, aren't they?
Social media exploded with people saying Caitlin should play in the NWSL during the WNBA lockout. People were throwing around ideas like she could just lace up and go pro in soccer while waiting for basketball to come back. Let's pump the brakes real quick. Caitlin was a legitimately good soccer player. Her high school coach confirmed she could have played Division I college soccer. She was a striker. She had vision. She could put the ball exactly where it needed to be.
Caitlin Clark better lay something, and show us what you got. Put her in like Soccer Aid or something. Throw her in like a charity game. But this is big. This is big, especially with the fact that, you know, in the WNBA right now, kind of nothing's going on. Like nothing.
But there's a massive gap between could have played D1 soccer and can go pro in a completely different sport after not playing competitively for years. You cannot realistically transition from one professional sport to another. It just doesn't work like that. So no, Caitlin is not about to join the NWSL. But the fact that people are even talking about it, that's the point. Because here's what's really going on. Nike sponsors both Alexia and Caitlin. Barcelona's women's team, Nike Club. Caitlin's signature shoe was supposed to drop around the Team USA Olympic Games last summer. It didn't.
Nothing really is going on in the grand scheme of things. And at the same time, you can maybe say everything's going on. And Putellas has responded. Obviously, I cut off the last video, and turns out that she went and responded.
And everyone expected a Super Bowl commercial this year to announce the release. That didn't happen either. So now we're sitting in February 2025, and the WNBA season is in serious jeopardy because of CBA negotiations. And Nike's biggest women's basketball investment in decades literally cannot play basketball. So what do you do when your athlete can't compete? You keep their name in the conversation by any means necessary. And let me tell you, this rollout was cool.
If there was some like equivalent of like a soccer aid or something for maybe you could. You'd have to put them both on Team World. Yeah. I'm not sure if soccer aid is just it's a mixed game, but look, at the end of the day, I don't think any of that really matters. But it is cool to see. It's cool to see.
Coordinated down to the second, FC Barcelona's official women's team account responded to Caitlin's reply. Not Alexia's personal account. The actual club account for one of the biggest women's sports teams in the world. They joked about their injury crisis being so bad they needed to sign Caitlin. That's the club social media team getting involved in promoting a basketball player. That doesn't happen organically. Someone at Nike made sure those boots got sent. Made sure that
a page literally promoting the Barcelona women's team, which is like one of the biggest teams. They are the biggest team in women's football, aren't they? If they're not the biggest, they're one of the biggest. They're absolutely one of the biggest. And having them coming out there and promoting this page.
the message was handwritten for authenticity. Made sure both athletes posted about it. Made sure Barcelona's official account engaged. This is marketing infrastructure at work. This is a machine running in the background while you're busy reading the heartwarming story. Now, let's talk numbers. Nike signed Caitlin to a reported 8-year deal worth $28 million.
They have to do a good job of keeping Caitlin Clark's name out there, because I think the sneaker is going to be delayed. I'm not saying it's going to be delayed long. I think it will be delayed. I think it's going to be a short delay. And by that, I mean...
For context, that's more than most WNBA players make in their entire careers. It's one of the largest endorsement deals in women's basketball history. But here's the problem. You can't sell signature shoes if your athlete isn't playing games, isn't on television, isn't generating highlights. The WNBA lockout means no games, no playoff run, no championship narrative to build around. Team USA...
I do feel they're not, until anything's announced in the WNBA season, they're not going to just randomly announce it. I still think the Team USA games were the initial games they were going to be released. But with no Super Bowl commercial, nothing.
Games aren't happening until next summer at the earliest. So Nike's solution? Manufacture relevance. They need to remind people that Caitlin Clark exists and is worth paying attention to, even when she's not on a basketball court. And that's where the soccer crossover comes in. Women's soccer has better global recognition than women's...
3/4 of that game, I'd never seen anything like it. It was 12-0. There was no touchdowns. Nothing even particularly close to being a touchdown. It was just... it was a bit of a weird one. So, yeah. That is...
Basketball. The World Cup final had massive viewership. Players like Alexia Putellas have international name recognition that most WNBA players simply don't. So you connect your basketball star to a soccer star. You tap into that audience. You create a story that works even without games being played. It's brilliant, honestly.
That is the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And hopefully you were not a Patriots fan, because that quarterback, dear Lord, he was shit.
But it's also a little desperate, because let's be real, the sneaker is getting delayed. It has to be. They're not going to announce anything until the WNBA season situation is resolved. They'll probably still target the Team USA games, or whenever the initial release was supposed to happen. But with no Super Bowl commercial and no basketball being played, Nike has to keep some level of relevancy going. And that's exactly what this is. Now, compare this to how Nike handled other athletes during work stoppages. When the NBA had lockouts, you saw players doing international tours, exhibition games, playing in alternative leagues overseas. But those were veteran players with established brands. LeBron, Kobe, guys who had already built their empires. Caitlin is different. She's only played one WNBA season. Her brand is still being built. Her shoe hasn't even released yet. So Nike can't just let her disappear for 6 months or a year while the WNBA figures out their collective bargaining agreement. They need consistent content, consistent visibility, consistent reasons for sports media to talk about her. A handwritten note from one of the world's best soccer players generates headlines without Caitlin having to do anything controversial or political. It's safe. It's positive. It's perfect. But here's what this really reveals. Nike is treating Caitlin Clark like a global brand, not just a WNBA player. They're positioning her alongside athletes from other sports, other countries, other audiences. That's the same playbook they used with Serena Williams and Cristiano Ronaldo. You transcend your sport by connecting to figures outside your sport. The question is whether it actually works without the basketball. Because at some point, the shoe has to release. At some point, Caitlin has to play games. At some point, the marketing has to convert into sales. And right now, we don't know when any of that happens. The WNBA and the Players Union are still negotiating revenue sharing, salary caps, expansion rules. All of it is on the table. And while those negotiations drag on, Nike is stuck trying to keep their investment relevant without the actual product to sell. They can't launch a signature basketball shoe when there's no basketball being played. They can't run commercials during WNBA games when there are no WNBA games. So they get creative. They send Caitlin custom soccer boots from a global icon. They manufacture a crossover moment that generates social media engagement, sports media coverage, and keeps her name trending. It's not a replacement for actual basketball, but it's better than silence. And here's the thing. If Nike thought the WNBA season was starting on time, they wouldn't need these alternative marketing plays. They'd just wait for opening night, run their commercials, release the shoe, and let Caitlin's on-court performance do the selling. The fact that they're activating these backup plans suggests they're preparing for a prolonged work stoppage. And that has implications way beyond just Caitlin. Every WNBA player with endorsement deals is facing the same problem. No games means no highlights. No highlights means no visibility. No visibility means brands lose interest. The players who've built their brands primarily through basketball are going to struggle if this lockout extends into the summer. But Caitlin has an advantage. Nike is invested enough to manufacture relevance for her. They'll find ways to keep her in the conversation, whether that's through soccer crossovers, charity events, international appearances, whatever works. Most WNBA players don't have that level of support. They don't have Nike creating content opportunities for them during a lockout. And that's the divide this situation exposes. The top tier of WNBA players, the ones with major endorsement deals, will survive a long lockout because their sponsors need them to survive. The middle and lower tier players, the ones who depend on their WNBA salary and don't have significant endorsement income, they're the ones who get hurt. They can't afford to miss paychecks. They can't afford to lose visibility. The union knows this, which is why they're pushing so hard for revenue sharing and higher minimum salaries. They want to lift the floor for all players, not just the stars. But the league is pushing back, claiming the revenue isn't there yet to support those demands. And while they negotiate, players sit at home and watch their careers tick away. For Caitlin specifically, this lockout is coming at the worst possible time. She just finished a rookie season that shattered viewership records. The Indiana Fever went from being the league's least watched team to selling out arenas and drawing 3 million viewers for playoff games. The momentum was building. The hype was real. And now it's all frozen because the league and the union can't agree on how to split the money that Caitlin helped generate. Nike understands that momentum is fragile. You can't just pause it for a year and expect to pick up where you left off. Fans move on. Casual viewers forget. The media finds new stories. So they're doing everything they can to maintain that momentum artificially through moments like this soccer crossover until real basketball comes back. But there's a limit to how long that works. At some point, people want to see Caitlin Clark play basketball, not receive gifts from soccer players. They want to see her break more records, win more games, develop rivalries, chase championships. The substance has to match the marketing eventually. So the real question isn't whether this Nike strategy is smart. It obviously is. They're making the best of a bad situation. The real question is how long they can sustain it before the lack of actual basketball starts hurting Caitlin's brand. Because every month without WNBA games is a month where casual fans forget why they cared about her in the first place. And that's the risk the WNBA is taking with this lockout. They're gambling that their stars are big enough to survive a work stoppage without losing their audience. They're betting that fans will come back whenever games resume, no matter how long the delay. But that's not how sports fandom works. People need consistent content. They need reasons to stay engaged. And right now, the WNBA isn't giving them any. Nike is trying to fill that void with moments like this. A handwritten note from a soccer star, a social media exchange, a reminder that Caitlin Clark still exists and is still worth paying attention to. It's creative marketing during a crisis, but it's not a long-term solution. Eventually, the basketball has to come back. The question is whether the audience will still be there when it does.